Extensive phrasal verbs. My partner's been away for a fortnight. I am aching for her. The medicine only acts on infected tissue. The enzyme acts upon certain proteins. Trains delays are getting worse, and with the high fares, it all adds up to misery for the commuters. The total costs add up to several million euros. The magazine is aimed at teenagers. They're aiming at reducing costs by 10%. Her mother was shocked when she started answering her back and refusing to help. He asked about my father. I have no idea, but I'll ask around at work and see if anyone can help. We asked them around for dinner. You're asking for trouble. I asked for the menu. John's at the door. Please ask him in. He wanted to ask her out but was too shy. The police told the protesters to back off. He backed out 2 days before the holiday, so we gave the ticket to his sister. She backed out of the agreement at the last minute. He keeps barging in and asking stupid questions when I'm trying to work. They barged into my office without knocking and started talking even though I was on the phone. The burglars bashed the door in to enter the house. The police are after him because of the theft. He's been down since his partner left him. After the argument, James is down on his boss. I'm off home, it's 5 o'clock. She is out on a visit for the day. We're out of coffee, so I'll have to go and get some. The company's profits are up by 15%. Are you up for the ride? He's not up to the job, get someone else. The mugger beat him up and stole his wallet. He belongs to a secret society. Their ideas belong to the 19th century and seem old-fashioned now. I bent over to do my shoes up. He blacked out and collapsed on the floor. I was so nervous in the interview that I just blanked out and couldn't answer their questions properly. The pipes blocked up and no water gets through. Her first novel blew me away. The flag blew away in the storm, we'll have to buy a new one. She blew the candles out on her birthday cake. The pressure was low, so I blew the tire up. They blew up when they heard what I had done wrong. The anger boiled up in me when I saw what they had done. The report's so long, I boiled it down into a 2-page summary. It all boils down to money at the end of the day. We took a taxi from the airport to the hotel and booked in. We booked into the first hotel we could find. He bosses everyone around. IKN.MI The economy is bouncing back from the recession. He broke down in tears. I'm sorry to break in on your conversation, but there's a problem. I hope you don't mind me butting in on your conversation, but I couldn't help hearing what you said. This is none of your business, so just butt out. They had been going out for a couple of years before they broke up. You're breaking up, I'll call you back in a minute and see if we get a better connection. You'll have to talk louder, you're cracking up. He brightened up when he heard the news. You can bring your friends along if you like. He brought some books around when he came last night. Visiting my old school brought back memories of when I was a pupil there. He took the calculator home yesterday and hasn't brought it back yet. My parents brought me up strictly. Bring on the dancers. The minister brushed off the criticism. She took a 2-week course to brush up her Spanish before she went traveling around South and Central America. Tension has been building up ever since the government passed the unpopular law. I bumped into Helen in the metro the other day. They had to completely rebuild the museum after the old one burned down. All his possessions were burned up in the fire. Jenny burnt out after 10 years working as a futures broker and went to live in the country. She burst into laughter when she heard the joke. She burst into tears when she heard the tragedy. She was called Rose after her late grandmother. She was named Rose after her late grandmother. The opposition party called for the minister's resignation after the scandal broke. We had to call in a plumber because the sink was leaking and I had no idea how to fix it. The concert had to be called off because the singer suffered from a bad case of flu. He called them out over awarding contracts to family members. Expose or accuse someone of wrongdoing or incompetence. He called out to his friends on the street. When I lose my temper, it takes ages for me to calm down again. It took me ages to cool down after the argument. I don't care for fizzy drinks, I prefer water. The team got carried away when they won the championship and started shouting and throwing things around. Get so emotional that you lose control. Carry on quietly with your work until the substitute teacher arrives. A hacker got my credit card details from my computer and cashed out a lot of money. Everyone else realized what was happening, but it took Henry ages to catch on. Finally understand, could you repeat that for me? I didn't quite catch that. He started well, but I caught him up on the third lap. I'm going home to catch up on my sleep. I'm going home to catch up with my sleep. I caught up with her at the conference. The press chased us down when the story broke. She checked out and took a cab to the airport. I checked the new restaurant out as soon as it opened. Hey, check this out. We checked the contract over before signing it. We looked the contract over before signing it. They cheered their team on throughout the match. Come on, cheer up, it isn't all bad, you know. After dinner, I cleaned off the table. After dinner, I cleared away the plates and dishes. Clean this bedroom up, it's a disgrace. I really must clean the study out, there's stuff all over the floor and piles of paper everywhere. They cling to their old way of thinking. Try to maintain beliefs, hopes, etc. I came across my old school reports when I was clearing out my desk. I left work and came back home early. I'll come by after work and see if you need any help. She comes from Somalia. I did my best but came in last but won in the race. Come on, don't give up now when you're so close to finishing. The details of the scandal came out in the press and she had to resign. The band's new CD is coming out in September. After 3 years, he came out of the coma. They have just come out with a new version. Nobody could come up with a satisfactory explanation for the accident. Think of a solution, excuse, etc. I'm counting down the days till they leave. If you're going on that skiing holiday, you can count me in. I'd love to go. I don't want to go. You can count me out. You can count on them. If they have promised to do something, they'll do it. They tried to cover up the incident, but it got into the newspapers. He cracked up after his son died and had to take a couple of months off work. Everybody cracked up when he told the joke. He creeps me out when he gets drunk. He cried out when he dropped the box on his toes. Cried out loud. The firm cut back production because sales were sluggish. I'm trying to cut down the amount of coffee I drink during the day. The vibe, lowering the intake of something specific. I'm cutting out salt from my diet. The vibe, removal, elimination. Common usage, used for diets, toxic people, or unnecessary expenses. Will you two idiots cut it out and keep quiet? I'm dying for the weekend. This week's been so hard. I dug out my old university essays. Serving food. I dished out the dinner. He dished up a great dinner when we got back. I wouldn't even dream of telling her that. Consider, think of. It's an informal party, so there's no need to dress up. He dropped by on his way home from work. She dropped out of college and went straight into a good job. The lake dried up because of the water extraction for cotton farming. The disease eats the liver away. Destroy slowly. We didn't feel like going to a restaurant, so we ate in. We've had to eat into our savings since I lost my job. It'll end in tears. We couldn't get tickets for Egypt, so we ended up going to Turkey instead. He tried hard but ended up with a poor grade. The company faced off the competition. I was ill for a week and fell behind with my work. He fell for her the moment their eyes met. He fell for my story and allowed me yet another extension for the submission of my thesis. He feeds off people's fear of crime to get them to support his proposals. Exploit. She's been ill for a fortnight, so we're feeding her up. Providing food. Someone felt me up in the club as I was trying to get to the bar. The army attacked the town and the inhabitants fought back fiercely. The police couldn't figure out how the burglars had gotten into the warehouse. They filed for divorce after 2 years of marriage. I filled in the application form and posted it off. I filled out the application form and mailed it. I was away for a few days, so they had to get someone to fill in for me. It filters out all the impurities and chemicals in tap water so that it tastes better. I went to the library to find out all I could about the life and work of Joe Meek. They finished off all the chocolates and had to go to the all-night garage to buy some more. We finished off the coffee and had to get some more. The animal was badly hurt, so they finished it off to end its suffering. The police fired off several rounds and killed the man. I didn't fit in with the other people working there, so I left and found another job. As I get older, the years just fly by. He followed up the meeting with a report. The teacher was angry because the class was fooling around. The noise frightened the birds away. Get after her and give her the message before she leaves the building. Why don't you two get along? You're always arguing. He's finding it hard to get around since the operation and spends most of his time at home. It'll be tricky, but we will find a way to get around the regulations. Bypass. What do you think she's getting at? Any ideas? The robbers got away in a stolen car, which the police later found abandoned. Thieves got away with 2 Picassos, which were never found. Don't lend him any. Don't lend him. The train was held up, so we didn't get back home until midnight. Don't lend him any money, you'll never get it back. He was rude and embarrassed me, but I'll get him back. I'll get back at her for landing me in trouble. I am getting back into my English lessons after the summer break. I'll get back to you as soon as I hear any news. I don't know at the moment, but I will get back to you as soon as I have the information. We split up a few months ago but got back together last week. They're finding it increasingly difficult to get by since their daughter was born. It's hard to get by on my salary. We should be able to get by with 3 PCs, but 4 would be better. The miserable weather in winter really gets me down. My mother used to get down on us for not doing enough homework. She didn't get in till well after 12 o'clock because she'd been out for a few drinks with her mates. The taxi pulled up and we got in. We need to get some coffee in, we're completely out. Purchase. He did badly in the entrance exam and didn't get in. She did well and got into Cambridge University. She's been getting into dance music recently, become involved or interested. If I don't get it together, I will never reach my targets. We got off the bus and walked to my house. I like to get off early on Fridays. Leave. We got on the train at Delhi and went up to Mumbai. I must be getting on, I have other things to do this evening. He was so upset he couldn't get the words out. He was completely blanked out. The police couldn't get any information out of him. Did you get a refund out of the travel agency? I couldn't get over how much weight he had put on. We asked him to get to the point, but he just waffled away. I get up at 7 o'clock on weekdays, but lie in till noon on the weekend. They ghosted him away to a secret location before he could be arrested. I gave the money back that she had lent to me. I couldn't finish the crossword puzzle and had to give in and look at the answers. Please give it up for our next guest. He gave himself over to finding his son. I gave up taking sugar in tea and coffee to lose weight. She gave up all her school friends when she went to university. I gave up on them when I heard what they were saying about me behind my back. I planned to go along with them as far as Canada. I went around for dinner at their house. We went back to work after the break. Nobody was at home when I went by yesterday. She tends to go for guys like him. I'll go for the soup of the day, followed by the duck. They refused to go into exactly what was wrong. She went into banking after she'd finished university. A lot of time and effort went into this book. The party went off well. Please go on with your work. Carry on with. Go on, apply for the job, or go ahead. The workers went out for more money. Hong Kong went out in the second round. Could you go over that point again, please? She went past me without saying hello. I went through my notes before the exam. Skimming the content. I went through my desk looking for the letter. He went through his ideas twice, but I couldn't really understand them. Explained the idea. Drinking and driving don't go together. The money went towards my university fees. She went up to him and asked him if he wanted a drink. Does this tie go with my shirt? A lot of benefits go with the job. We're going with our original plan in the end. We spent the weekend goofing around. We used to be good friends at school but have since grown apart. I have grown away from many of the people I grew up with. Nails grow back quickly after you cut them. Can be used for grass, hairs too. She has grown into a lovely person. He grew up in the Banaras. We grew up on cartoons. I handed my homework in late as usual. The robbers told the clerk to hand over all the money. We were doing badly, but we hung in there till we finished. Could you hang on for a moment till she's free? He hangs out in the pub. We have to hang together if we're going to finish this project, asking for teamwork. I have nothing against their proposals. Dislike, disagree or hold a grudge, usually negative. It's getting late, I'm heading for home. After work, we all headed off to the pub. We're heading out at 7, so don't be late. Have you heard about the company takeover? I haven't heard from them since we left university. I've heard of the band, but don't know their music. She really helped me out when I was going through my divorce. They hid the money away in secret bank accounts. The police think he's hiding out in the woods. He was very rude, but I won't hold it against him. Lack of funding held the project back. Could you hold on for a minute? She'll be free in a moment. He's always joking around in class. I couldn't keep from arguing with her. She kept off the subject of her divorce. He kept on trying and succeeded in the end. It's hard to keep up with all the latest improvements and breakthroughs in technology nowadays. She got knocked up when she was on holiday. Become or get someone pregnant. The hotel laid off 20 staff because tourist numbers were down. The investigation led to the arrest of a number of suspects. The company's plans to close the factory leaked out and they were very embarrassed. He was left out of the side because he hasn't been playing too well lately. She failed to turn up and I felt badly let down. The door staff didn't let him in the nightclub because he was wearing jeans. I told them to lighten up but they continued complaining about it. To relax. The police got them to line up against the wall. He lined the bottles up against the wall. Listen up, men. Here are your new assignments. He tries hard to live by the Bible. It was hard to live through the recession, but we managed it. She locked up after everyone had left and went home. I lock myself away for a few weeks before exams. Their auntie looked after them while their mother was in hospital. She looked out for her sister when she started school. He looks down on his colleagues. I've been looking for all their hidden files, but I can't find them anywhere. I'm looking forward to meeting you. We'll look into the problem and come back to you when we have the information. Means to investigate, research, or examine a matter to find out more information or solve a problem. I look on her as a close friend. I look upon him as a close friend. She looks up to her mother. Respect, we were told to look out for any suspicious behavior. I looked through the article. Read quickly. I didn't know the correct spelling, so I had to look it up in the dictionary. I thought you weren't coming, so I was really pleased you made it. We made our way towards the center. He tried to make it up to her, but she wouldn't speak to him. Compensate. I sent her a present to try to make up for my appalling behavior. What do you make of your new boss? Understand or have an opinion? The beauty salon gave her a makeover before the party. They made up an excuse for being late. She told her anonymous critics to man up and speak publicly. Have some balls. I mark them down as conservatives, but they're very liberal. Her speed marks her out from the rest of the group. She mashed up the songs into a single track. She maxed out her credit cards, reach a limit. She didn't measure up in her probationary period, so we didn't extend her contract. Be good enough, meet the required standard. They met with some problems they hadn't anticipated. I was messing around on the internet because I couldn't be bothered to do any work. He's been messing with the router for hours and it still doesn't work. Try to repair or improve, usually unsuccessfully. They messed up the discussions and the contract fell through. They messed up the room and left stuff all over the place. Don't mess with me or there will be trouble. It'll be great, you'll be missing out if you don't come. Make sure you don't miss anyone out when you call their names. I always mix those twin sisters up because they look identical. My debts mounted up while I was at university. All piled up. They are moving away from Windows and are using Linux. The house was empty for ages, but some new tenants moved in a few weeks ago. They moved into the house as soon as it was ready. She moved on to another company where the salary was considerably better. They moved her up to senior management. Promote to a higher level to position. I can't nail down what's wrong with their idea, but I'm sure it won't work. Understand fully. I nailed the job down in the first interview. I am not sure which university to apply to, but I have narrowed my list down to 3. She hates to open up and discuss her feelings. I opted for postpaid internet connection. She picked out the one she wanted to take and left the rest. The UK opted out of a lot of EU legislation on working hours and conditions. We had nothing left to do, so we packed up early. Wrapped up. They paired off shortly after starting university, a romantic relationship. I paired off with Trish for the test. We paired up for the last activity. Sadly, Georgia's uncle passed away yesterday after a short illness. Her husband passed on last year. I was just passing by when I saw the accident. I'll pass the message on when she gets here. I think I'll pass on dinner tonight if I'm not hungry. He got so drunk that he passed out. I paid back the £20 I'd borrowed. The mortgage will be paid off in 25 years. I'm going to pay him back for that insult. Their patience paid off when he finally showed up and signed the contract. My friends always pick on me because I don't sing well, annoy, criticize, or make fun of someone. She picked up Spanish in 6 months. Can you pick me up and take me to the George when you go to the party? Can you pick up some friends of mine on your way to the party? It took him a long time to pick himself up after his wife left him. I'd like to pick up on the point that Jill made. I always have to pick up after him because he leaves things all over the office. Work just keeps on piling up and I really can't manage to get it all done. I disagreed with the idea, but I had to play along because everyone else liked it. We played the recording back to see if it was okay. He pointed out that I only had 2 weeks to get the whole thing finished. I need to polish up my French before I go to Paris. The dialog box popped up when I pressed enter. I'm going to have to work late tonight because something has popped up. They prey on older people. They prey upon people's fears about immigration. She pulled back when he tried to kiss her. Moved away. They pulled back from the deal. The lorry was going slowly, but we managed to pull ahead. Overtake. When the lights turned green, the car pulled off. The police pulled the car over. Stop by the roadside. The cab pulled up outside my house and I got out. No one thought that she would be able to do it, but she pulled it off in the end. If we all pull together, we'll have it finished in no time. Teamwork. He was so angry that he couldn't pull himself together. Losing her job pulled her down. Put the gun down slowly and keep your hands where I can see them. I was really put off by the way he eats with his mouth open. Stop liking something or somebody. I put my coat on before we went out. They are reaching out for major economic reforms. Decided. I reached out to you when I was in trouble and you were a great help. Asking for help. Whenever he gets into debt, he runs to his parents for help. Charities are reaching out to those who lost their homes in the floods. Offer help. I've been reading up on Japan as I'm going to live there next year. Research. He reasoned out the answer to the math problem. The company rolled out its takeover plans last week. Introduce, launch, initiate. The police have ruled out suicide and are treating it as a case of murder. I'm exhausted. I've been running around all day. He ran away from his attackers. She ran away to avoid a forced marriage. She's thinking about running for the presidency. I ran into James in a bar in the city on Friday. We've run out of sugar. I'm going to the shops for some. The meeting ran over 20 minutes. They don't want to be rushed into getting married next month. He's saving up to buy a car. The cat scared the birds away. He spent the afternoon screwing around and got nothing done. David screwed up his exam but still managed to scrape a pass. I went to the station to see them off. Are you sure you're going? I'll get your coats and see you out. The quality of their work sets them apart from their rivals. She stood out from the crowd in selection and was offered the job. The smoke set the fire alarm off. Things are shaping up at work. Everything's going well again. Develop in a positive way. If you shop around, you can find some real bargains for air tickets. She shouted out my name. Very few showed up at the meeting. They shut the water off while they did the repairs. He told us to shut up and start working. Many learners shy away from using phrasal verbs. The lecturer sided with the school staff. He stood by her throughout the trial as he believed her to be innocent. He's the kind of manager who will always stand up for his staff. She stood up to the police when they tried to corrupt her. This coat will stand up to the roughest weather conditions. The teacher took her aside and said that she'd failed the exam. You have to sign in before you can enter the club. I'll sign off now, but we'll write again next week. I'm signing off now and going home. Many people applied for the job, but we will single out the best one. We sat back and waited for them to make the first mistake. I sat back and enjoyed the show. The government has been sitting on the report because it was so critical. I sliced the cake up and handed it round to the people there. The year has slipped away and it is hard to believe it's over. The years slip by as you get older. He smashed the windscreen in. The burglar smashed up the office as there was no money to steal. I sniffed around to see if I could find a better deal. Our rivals are trying to sniff out our plans for expansion. Has the firm sorted out its tax problems yet? People are afraid to speak out in oppressive political regimes. They couldn't hear the speaker and asked him to speak up a bit. I let my frustration spill out. Hurry up, spit it out. I can't wait all day for the truth. The teacher split the class up into groups of 4. We stood around for an hour waiting for them to turn up. What had started out as a protest quickly turned into a full-blown rebellion. It's a mess, I think we should just start over. From the beginning. He said he didn't like them coming and wanted them to stay away. He told them to stay away from him. I'm going to stay in and chill tonight. I can't be bothered to go out. We stayed out all night. I stayed over at a friend's house last night because of the train strike. Stayed overnight. The children stayed up until way past their bedtime. The trouble stems from their refusal to discuss the matter. Everyone thinks that the Prime Minister should step aside so that someone new can lead the party into the election. When I had the accident, a lot of people stepped forward to help me. I had to step in when they started fighting. He's late, but I'll stick around for another few minutes before I leave. I stuck to the path and didn't take the shortcut. We'd better stick with our original idea. If we don't stick together, things will be much worse for all of us. We need some unity, teamwork. I stopped behind at the end of the lecture to ask a couple of questions. I must stop by the supermarket and pick up some things for dinner. Visit somewhere briefly or quickly. I stumbled upon these photos when I was clearing my room up. They suited up and went to the interview. At the end of the lecture, she summed up the main points again. You're off to the cinema, can we tag along? Accompany someone. He takes after his mother. Look like, resemble. That song always takes me back to when I was at university. I had to take back everything bad I'd said about them when I learned how they'd helped out. Deck.ray.n People take down their Christmas decorations 12 days after Christmas. He's good at criticizing others, but can't take it himself. The flight for Dublin took off on time. She took on the task of indexing the database. She took over responsibility for the project last month. The dentist took out all of my wisdom teeth before they started causing any problems. He took her out to a restaurant last Friday night. For a date. The bank was taken over by a Hong Kong bank that needed to buy a bank to get into the British market. An awful lot of my time at work is taken up with pointless bureaucracy nowadays. He took up squash as he felt he had to lose some weight. The teacher was cross because the pupil talked back to her. Similar to answering someone back. We talked over the problems in our relationship, but couldn't sort things out. They teamed up to publicize the issue. People were torn apart when news of the train crash came through. Disturb or upset greatly. They are tearing up the old part of town to build a new shopping center. They're identical twins, so I cannot tell them apart. His fiancée told him off for arriving nearly an hour late. I was feeling too tired to go and texted out. Cancel an appointment by sending a text message. I've thought it over and have made up my mind. I'm going to take the job in Leeds. after careful consideration. The plan fell through because they hadn't thought it through properly. Consider all the possibilities and outcomes of a situation. The prawn she ate at lunch made her throw up and she had to go home early. She threw herself into the project. He threw himself at her but she wasn't interested. She tied her hair back before playing tennis. They tied up the hostages so that they couldn't escape. Marriage ties you down. She soon tired of the course and dropped out. We tossed for who would start. Using coin. We tossed up to see who would kick off. The talk touched on the issue, but didn't give any new information. They didn't touch upon the subject because of the controversy. He thought she loved him, but she was just toying with him. After taking the LSD, he tripped out for hours. I tripped over and hurt my knee. Attempt. I'm going to try for the job. Scientists are trying out a new drug in the fight against the disease. Trial. I tried the jacket on before I bought it. I tried out the program before I bought it. Eat. We tucked away a huge dinner before we went out. The dinner smelled so good I couldn't wait to tuck in. I was starving and tucked into the food. Be sure to tune in next week for the next episode. The public turned against the government when they became arrogant and ceased to listen. Stop liking and start disliking. The room was too hot, so she turned the heating down. They offered her the job, but she turned it down. Reject an offer, invitation, etc. Tadpoles turn into frogs. It looked as if we were going to fail, but it turned out well in the end. He turned to drink after he lost his job. Take up a habit. She didn't turn up for class today. I turned the music up full blast. She typed her essay out and handed it in at the last minute. They urged the deal on the company. We used up all the olive oil. Her appointment as CEO ushered in a whole new phase in the company's growth. Make important changes happen. I waited about an hour, but they didn't come. Wait somewhere doing nothing. I waited behind to ask the lecturer a question. They have 2 people waiting on each table. Serve people in a restaurant. You can't just walk away from your problems. Leave something you don't like. He walked in on them planning to sack him. Enter somewhere unexpectedly and see something. I walked into a door and broke my nose. The workers walked out because they felt that safety wasn't being handled correctly. Leave work because of a dispute with the management. The film was a bore, so I walked out halfway through. He walked me through the procedures. A man walked up and asked me the time. Go to someone. Be sure you and the kids wash up before dinner. Wash face and hands. Watch out, there's ice on the road. Watch out for bats in the caves, many have rabies. The lecturer watched over the students as they did the experiment. Check over, look over, watch over. We waved her off at the station. Similar to see off someone. The accident was bad, but the police waved us on. Hand gesture to move on. The stress of my job is wearing me down. Making weaker. The company weeded out the unsuccessful sales representatives. Got rid of, removed. Could you weigh out 200 grams of that for me? They weighed the pros and cons up carefully before deciding. Assess. We got back late and whipped up dinner. Making food quickly. A meteor crashing into the planet wiped the dinosaurs out. Kill all of a population, make them extinct. I accidentally wiped out all the data on my hard drive. His supervisor told him to wise up and start following the rules or else he'd lose his job. Stop being stupid. Scientists are working on genetically modified crops and foods. Improving or developing. She goes to the gym to work off her anger. Things were going wrong for them, but fortunately it all worked out in the end. They worked it over until they had got it right. Repeat, do again. It took him a long time to work through his anger after he lost his job. Deal with, resolve a problem, often emotional. She wrapped her arms around him. They wrapped up the presents, then put a ribbon around them. That wraps things up, so we'll end this meeting. Ends. Finishes. The entry was zeroed out of the database. Reduce to zero, cancel, remove. He told me to zip it, so I said nothing. He was being stupid in the meeting, so we told him to zip up. Keep quiet. She was zoned out during the lecture because it was so boring. Not paying attention. I put some ambient music on and zoned out. Dissociate yourself from a situation.